My name is Maria Zink with Anderson Products. I'm here to give you a brief and abbreviated training on our newest Amperline gas sterilizer. Anderson Products has been located in North Carolina for several years, where we make, manufacture, and distribute ethylene oxide sterilizers. Ethylene oxide is a powerful antimicrobial agent used for sterilization and needs to be handled with care. My goal today is to show you how to correctly and successfully run a gas sterilization cycle using the system you see before you, as well as the consumables located here on the table. The items that we're going to be using today are the AN75 ethylene oxide sterilizer, your purge probe with contained process challenge device, Velcro strap, emergency containment release bag. We also have three types of indicators. You have your exposure indicator, your chemical indicator, which is a dosimeter. You also have the industry standard, which is your biological indicator, as well as your incubator. We have the ethylene oxide cartridge, the load that we're going to be running today as an example, as well as a gas impermeable bag. Lastly, you have your gas sterilization liner bag, which is a gas impermeable bag. One important note about your different types of indicators. We have three indicators shown here that are utilized in your sterilization cycle. You have your biological indicator on the far left. This is placed inside of your process control device. Your biological indicator uses live spores to confirm the success or failure of your sterilization cycle. Always follow your manufacturer's recommendations when using biological indicators. In the center, you have your chemical exposure indicators, the AN85. These do not prove nor confirm sterilization. The color change only indicates that the items have been exposed to ethylene oxide. On the far right, you have your chemical exposure indicator, the AN87 dosimeter. The dosimeter provides immediate visual confirmation that the time and ethylene oxide concentration during the cycle were adequate for sterilization to occur. The first subject I'm going to touch on is preparing for sterilization. Temperature is a very important process in storage of your gas ampules, as well as the processing of your items for sterilization, as well as the sterilization cycle. When you're storing your gas cartridges, you want to make sure that you keep these in a cool area below 70 degrees that is devoid of sunlight. When preparing your items, you want to make sure that the area in which these items are prepared is at least 30% humidity, as well as 65 to 85 degrees. When preparing your items, you want to go through 4 basic steps of cleaning. You want to disassemble every item to its lowest possible point. Ethylene oxide needs a clear path to penetrate throughout the entire item. You want to keep your items humid, and you can do so by washing these. You want to wash them till they are surgically clean. You want to dry the items, and this portion is also very important. The drying of the items can be done by towel drying, air drying. You can also use compressed air. You want to avoid heat to dry any of your items, as it could make bacteria spores desiccated and resistant to ethylene oxide. Again, you want to make sure that you meet the AMI standards for humidity, which are at least 30% in the area in which the items are prepared. The last step you want to take with your preparation is wrapping of the items. You can use different types of wrapping materials. We have several here as a reference. You can use self-seal packaging, as well as CSR wrap. As you notice on the exterior of these packages, we do have our exposure indicator strips. This is a helpful point to use after sterilization to see which items have run through the cycle, as they are a color change. The process of loading the sterilization liner bag is very important. You want to load the liner bag in the same fashion every single time you run a cycle. Uniformity is a very important process of the sterilization cycle. The items that you're going to be sterilized have already been disassembled, washed, dried, and wrapped, and now are ready to put into the sterilization liner bag. You want to put your items in, starting off, moving them towards the center of the liner bag. Placing them loosely so the ethylene oxide can move throughout the liner bag and penetrate the items that you're going to be sterilizing. At this point in time, I still have 2 items left to put into the liner bag. So I'm going to make the addition of my dosimeter, which is my chemical indicator. I remove it from its foil pouch and I place it into the liner bag into the least accessible portion for the gas to reach. So you want to place it between the items that you're going to be sterilizing. Finally, I'm putting in the last of my products for sterilization. All of your gas cartridges come as seen. A green fluorescent piece of tape has a trigger guard attached to your gas cartridge so it cannot be activated while in transit. Before placing it into your liner bag, you want to remove the green tape, which will allow you to pull off the trigger guard. Again, you want to put your gas cartridge in the same place every time you run a cycle, and you want to make sure it's somewhere towards the top so it can be easily accessed during the sterilization cycle. Finally, you put in your purge probe. There is a silver bobbin located around the top that you can use as a guide. You want to put the purge probe at least 4 inches down into the liner bag and gather the liner bag securely around the silver bobbin. You want to make sure that there are no gaps in the liner bag to allow the ethylene oxide to escape. When running cycles, you always want to use this point of reference so all of your cycles are the same and uniform. Pull the Velcro strap as tightly as you can around that silver bobbin. And then the gathered part of the sterilization liner bag around the bobbin. Spread out to make sure that you don't have any gaps. At this point in time, you can unscrew the top portion, which is your process challenge device. This is where you're going to put your biological indicator. We have tested and validated that this location is the most difficult place for gas to reach and for sterilization to be achieved. The biological indicator has a red top. It also has an exposure strip here. The way you want to insert the biological indicator is cap down, placing it right into your PCD. Finally, you will put the cap back on your process challenge device, and your cycle is ready to start. Running the sterilization cycle is a very simple process. Following the instructions as indicated by The digital screen here will walk you through all of the sequences you need to follow for a successful sterilization cycle. First, you want to press the start button. It will check to see if you have an abater. At this junction, we do not. It will test the pumps of the sterilizer to make sure they are functioning correctly. It will also test the door sensor. So at this point in time, I need to close the sterilizer to verify that the sensor is working. Self-test passed, and now the sterilizer will tell you the next steps to follow, which are loading the sterilization liner bag. I have all of my items ready to load the sterilization liner bag. It also states here on the display what items are needed. I'm going to place my sterilization liner bag into the system and put my purge probe to the side. If you need to bend your liner bag to get it in, depending on what items you're sterilizing, that's absolutely fine. Again, in a uniform and comfortable fashion, you want to place your items into your liner bag. At this point, I'm going to put my dosimeter, which is my chemical indicator, into the least accessible portion of the liner bag. As you can see, the capillary that runs across the middle is a gold color. So I'm putting it in between my items where I think it's going to be the most difficult place for gas to reach. The next step indicated is to add your ethylene oxide cartridge. Again, by removing the green tape that holds the trigger guard down, you want to remove the trigger guard. Place this on top of your items in a place where you can easily access the blue trigger. At this point in time, I'm going to open my process challenge device to add my biological indicator. Your biological indicator has the red top, which goes in the downward position. And you simply screw the top back on. The final step is to close the bag over the purge probe. Again, going about 4 inches down the liner bag, you want to cinch your liner bag around the silver bottom, making sure that you don't have any gaps. Should at any point in time you need to remove items from your liner bag, you can do so. You have not as yet activated the cartridge. Pull the upper portions of your liner bag to make sure that there are no gaps. And at this point, you're ready to press the next button, which is purge. The purge cycle is 1 minute and 30 seconds, where it evacuates any type of dead or excess air from the liner bag. At this time, push your bag into the sterilizer to make sure that the process challenge device is towards the back, so you can close the door once you activate the cartridge. If you want to verify by closing the door, you can do so at this time. Also, I've checked to make sure that I can still access my gas cartridge here on the side. As you can see, see, the evacuation process is quite apparent. So I know that I have secured my Velcro strap around the top as instructed, so I get this vacuum down low. If at any point in time you inadvertently drop a gas cartridge and it is activated outside of the sterilizer, immediately stop whatever you are doing and place the cartridge into your emergency containment bag located here on the side. It is a zipper bag. You place it into the pouch, close the pouch, and then follow the standard operating procedures for your hospital or clinic, which may entail leaving the area in which the sterilization is located, in which the sterilizer is located. As you can see, the bag itself is also vacuuming down. This shows you that the cartridge that was activated outside of the unit is being evacuated to the outside sufficiently. Items that you're going to be sterilizing will absorb gas in some way, shape, or form, with the exception of metal and glass. The items that do absorb gas, we need to give the ability to release gas or aerate these items. You do have a choice for a 24-hour aeration cycle for items that the manufacturer has indicated need a longer aeration process, or items that you find are gas absorbent. For this cycle, we are running your standard system, so no extra aeration is needed. So we do not have to select extra aeration. Your cycle verification screen will show you the length of the sterilization cycle, which is 12 hours, ventilation, which is an additional 2, and any aeration time that has been selected. Finally, it will give you an estimated time of completion, so you will know when your cycle has been finished. At this point, you can press continue, follow the instructions on the screen, activate your cartridge through the liner bag by pressing on the blue trigger. Once that trigger has been activated, you close, you lock your door, selecting start, showing us when the estimated time of completion is. At this point, we have 15 seconds remaining on our ventilation period. Our cycle completion is listed as below. Your cycle is complete, as we have not selected any additional aeration time. You can leave the items in the sterilizer until you're ready to unload. Selecting the cycle data button, you can record the length of your sterilization cycle, ventilation period, any additional aeration chosen, extended aeration, as well as temperature. By pressing the lower button, the system will walk you through all of the steps you need to follow to unload the system. So at this point in time, pressing the exit button, the first thing I'm going to do is check my dosimeter, my chemical indicator, which shows me that the proper concentration of gas during the sterilization cycle, as well as time of the sterilization cycle, was successful. Your gas cartridge can be disposed of in your normal trash. If your dosimeter is successful, the dosimeter shows an immediate color change after your cycle is completed, letting you know that the parameters have been met. If the color change reaches or surpasses the triangular mark, you know that you have met these parameters successfully. At this time, you want to remove your biological indicator from your process challenge device. And you need to activate this. You can do so you want to shake your BI to make sure that that spore strip is totally saturated with your culture media. It does need to be incubated at 37 degrees C for 48 hours. You also need to utilize your controller, a biological indicator that has not been run through a sterilization cycle, so you know that the bacteria on this spore strip are still viable. You activate it in the same fashion. Make sure you mark this as the controller. Also incubating it for 48 hours. You can check your biological indicators at the 24-hour mark, checking to see if there is any growth. As you can see by these two biological indicators, this one that has been run through a sterilization cycle has no color change at this point. The one that has not been run through a sterilization cycle has changed to an orange, somewhat rusty color. If you see no changes whatsoever, continue with the incubation process to 48 hours before releasing your products upon a successful read.